What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me once again. Welcome back to the wrestle-magic podcast. I'm sorry I sound like a ditz. I am not feeling good. My nose is stuffy. It is already midnight and technically Sunday morning now. And I'm just getting my wrestling review now because my recording equipment was somewhat of a pain. And I've been trying to figure it out for the past few days. And now I finally get it to work. Today, I actually have a guest with me. It is my friend Brad. Say hi, Bradley. Hello. Don't do that. Don't be creepy.
Hello.
Okay. Brad is a new wrestling fan. He just got into it recently. Do you want to say a little bit about how you got into it and how I just ruined you forever as a wrestling fan?
Alrighty, so I kind of got into it because, I want to kind of say that the seeds of it were planted when I hung out at Mike's house one year for, I believe, WrestleMania.
Were you there?
It was either some
type of wrestling event,
yeah.
Maybe, but we were at church, we were practicing for music, and while we were waiting to get stuff set up, I showed him one of The Rock's promos, the one he did on Billy Gunn. And from that point on...
the probably as with most wrestling fans, The Rock was my gateway, was my gateway wrestler. And then as I started watching, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, he is only a small part of a larger thing that is actually kind of interesting. And the thing you have to know about me is that once I find something slightly interesting, I have to learn everything about it until I become an expert. That being said, wrestling, it's taking me a little longer than it took me with, say, what are some things like guitar, Godzilla, the Godzilla franchise. I'm really into.
And Brad, you got a long way to go. Ben, you can sit here if you want. Yeah, so that way you get picked up by the microphone.
3 episodes in, and you only got 3 guests, and you only got 2 guest stars.
All right, so I also am joined by my little brother Ben. Say hi to the camera, Ben.
Hello.
Well, the
microphone.
Camera and the microphone.
Not even the camera. It's not even recording.
This is gonna be a long episode because I have people to bounce off of. But Ben got some exciting news. Potentially Brad too. We are going to an NXT event in Cleveland, Ohio. We are going to my first NXT event, and it's one of my things on my wrestling bucket list on things I want to do as a wrestling fan. So here are the things. I already got seeing AJ Styles wrestle. I got to see that last time we went to SmackDown, Ben. Go to NXT, see Shinsuke Nakamura, bang bang.
Nakamura.
See a Royal Rumble in person, see a WrestleMania in person, and then if I really wanted to try, see Wrestle Kingdom in person in Japan.
Follow your dreams.
It's no way possible, but if I could, I would. I really would. If I could jump at the opportunity,
I will be more successful. I will pay for your tickets.
I would love that.
I would kind of.
We all know how far.
I kind of had this. I kind of had this idea where it'd be like, where we would have this this hub YouTube channel sort of thing, where it's just like all of the people I know who have immense dreams, and it's like just an information hub. So anytime there's like a huge update, it gets put on the central channel, and it's like
that's awesome.
That's what it would be great because I've got a whole bunch of guys at a whole bunch of people at Tri-C who want to be filmmakers, myself included. We want to make movies. We have big dreams about that.
Also, I want to wrestle a wrestling match at some point, whether it be a one-off against one of my friends or if it's actually part of a wrestling thing. I want to wrestle a match. Vince McMahon, make it happen. I'm kidding, but 2 views. That's probably got to be both me and Brad checking the audio levels on this to see how good it is and how bad it is. So
do that before it. So you can
what we do on this podcast is we go throughout the wrestling week, take a look at the bigger stories, and talk about that for a good few minutes. And this week was an emotional ride, especially on Raw. But we will talk about that.
I just realized something. Technically speaking, right now, I am your biggest fan. Of all two people who watch this, myself and you, I am your biggest fan.
Hey, you got a chance to appear on the show. Your lifelong dream is reality.
Please
Brad gets noticed before you guys.
Please subscribe.
Please subscribe. And also, if you're watching on the phone, hit the little bell so that way you can be notified first for
It's on
any
laptops, too.
videos on the Wrestle-Magic podcast.
On laptops too, by the way.
And
I've
also-
watched like 2 of your videos.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Darn it! I'm no longer biggest fan anymore. I love this distinction of being like
I didn't
certifiably
want to ruin your hopes
the
and dreams,
biggest
Brad,
fan.
But sorry.
But so since Brad has shown an interest in wrestling, I invited him to watch the Royal Rumble with me. I also have invited him to watch WrestleMania with me.
Reigns at 30.
No, forget the Rumble. As much as WWE said, remember the Rumble, forget the Rumble.
Well,
But-
no. Forget the fact that the only reason that Roman Reigns entered at 30 was just so people wouldn't be upset at Randy Orton winning.
That's
the Royal
exactly
Rumble.
it. And I was like,
I know what you're talking.
so very cool. The highest of highs and lowest of lows this week. And the most, for me at least, for what I'm watching, the most emotional scripted segment ever. So don't play it yet. Don't play it yet. No,
All right.
no. We'll wait. We'll talk about it because I have a lot to say about it. So we'll jump
I
in.
do too.
Go on, continue.
Neither of these guys have watched a lot of the common product, and so they're a bit of, at least Brad's a bit of a wrestling newbie, and Ben has watched with me, but he hasn't watched a lot recently.
I have.
You going through the side?
I probably have watched the most wrestling related stuff out of the three of us just today.
More than likely.
But I showed Brad a couple of the wrestling YouTubers I watched and a couple of videos that inspired me. So now we're here at the fact that Brad is now. This is the only sport I think you are into.
Oh, definitely. Just because, like, you gotta look at where I'm coming from. I'm making movie. I want to make movies as my profession. So I'm a storyteller, and not to say that there aren't some great stories in other sports. It's just they're not the focus of the sport.
Right. So let's start in with Elimination Chamber. It's most of the pay-per-view started off as It was like a really good episode of SmackDown. There are a couple things that didn't make sense and a couple things that did, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But I want to start with the new Elimination Chamber design. Brad, on your or one of your laptops, you guys can look up the new Elimination Chamber design, which is, instead of it being a round chamber, it's more like a steel cage. So it's square,
But there's still the roof on top.
It's still
that
the roof.
enables people to get over the top.
and it had that plexiglass that let for some really cool spots. Like when AJ Styles had his head smashed into the glass by Dean Ambrose. That was a really cool, visual. Looking that up as of right now. I'll point it out to you when it actually loads. But I really like the design. Some people don't like it because they like the rounded chamber and the fact that the ground wasn't padded. But for this one, it is. For the new one, it is. But that padding didn't really give a lot of leeway. It's still, spots are still brutal. But that allowed him to do more spots. You would never see John Cena fall from the top of a cage with that. But I'm talking too much about the match itself. We'll just go through some of the key points of the card. The Kalisto and Apollo Crews versus Dolph Ziggler match, I want to point out, made no lick of sense whatsoever. Yes, it's that one right there.
Oh,
I know, I saw the elimination.
It is the Kalisto and Apollo Crews are faces. They faced in a handicap match against one heel.
That's a very face thing for a heel to go through, is to go against two people at once.
Exactly. So
That's a very heel thing to do for faces, is to team up against one guy.
So, if Kalisto and Apollo Crews win, it makes them look like bad guys because, of course, two people beating one is going to win. But if they lose, Kalisto and Apollo Crews look weak, and Ziggler's cheer because nobody cares about Kalisto and Apollo Crews.
Here's the thing.
I really want to care about them, but they need to show me a little bit more personality, which is why I liked Talking Smack, because that's the show that airs after SmackDown where they interview a bunch of people, Brad.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked Apollo Crews. He sounded like an athlete more so, and you saw a little bit of personality, not a lot, but I saw some of the seeds being planted.
I was about to say something and it slipped my mind. Something about I could understand if two faces went against the heel if the heel was like someone who's like known for putting people away. So the way they're building Samoa Joe right now.
Yeah.
If two faces were to go up against Samoa Joe, the way they're building his character in the main roster right now, that makes sense.
Yeah, that
Samoa Joe's entire thing is he puts people away.
But Dolph Ziggler has been like shown as an underdog, and if Ziggler would won more during SmackDown, that would be one thing. But he has not been winning as much, so it's not necessarily good for Ziggler's character. So Ziggler, during Kalisto's entrance, attacks Kalisto and sends him out for a good part of the match.
Well, at least that's a heelish thing to do.
So it's a one-on-one for Apollo Crews and Dolph Ziggler until Kalisto comes back. And then Kalisto and Apollo Crews beat Ziggler. But then afterwards, Ziggler gets a chair and attacks them both and then tries to shatter Apollo Crews' ankle by putting his ankle in between the chair and stepping on the legs.
That's kind of ridiculous.
And he did it twice, and the crowd was cheering him as he did it.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's kind of bad.
Ooh.
Ziggler is not necessarily supposed to be cheered when he's a heel.
Can I take a quick control over this and see what our views of what the next best storyline is going to be? Because now that the best friend thing is kind of like lacking down, it's going to get...
No, it just got its heat.
No,
it's just got its heat.
It's going to start fighting, but there's not going to be like more of a story. I want to hear what we think would be a good story for now.
Well, we'll talk about that when the time comes, but right now, there's good stories on Raw and SmackDown, and it's all building up to WrestleMania, which is in a few weeks. So
right now we're not talking about one of those good storylines. We're talking about one of those not so good ones.
Well, no. If we're talking about Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho.
No, we're talking about right now. We're on the.
We're on Elimination Chamber. We're going Elimination Chamber. Then we're going to talk about Raw, then SmackDown, then NXT. So we have a lot of talking to do.
And it is 12:05. So.
Yep. Next thing I wanted to point out was the Tag Team Turmoil match, which is all the SmackDown Tag Division in one match, just taking turns fighting each other. And American
messy.
And American Alpha ended up winning after defeating 2 out of the 6 teams because Heath Slater and Rhino started off against Breezango.
Cause America.
Cause
America. You don't need to run through the entire match.
No, I just want to point something out.
Because America.
Oh, well, they are literally the best team on SmackDown right now. But here's how this went. Heath Slater and Rhino eliminated both Breezango and the Vaudevillains in quick order, but then were eliminated by the Usos. The Usos eliminated Heath Slater and Rhino, and then the Usos got eliminated by Chad Gable and Jason Jordan, a.k.a. American Alpha. American Alpha was then attacked after the match by the Usos, and then the Ascension come in. The Ascension, whose first match that they won on the main roster in a long time was on SmackDown, which nobody thought they would have won a match.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody was freaking out, like, "Oh my God, Ascension won a match! What is 2017?"
What is 2017? And we are all of 2 months in it.
Yes.
I was confused on how Ziggler was actually part of the Apollo Crews Kalisto.
Oh, because Ziggler turned heel on Kalisto, and then Apollo Crews befriended him.
I'm gonna show these young guys what's up.
Yeah, pretty much. So we're on Tag Team Turmoil now,
How many times has Cena does that? Let's count. 1, 2.
We're not talking about Cena yet.
Oh, I'll talk
You
about
have
it
a
later.
sound cue for it.
I've got the sound. I've got the thing. I've got the meme.
You got it right.
Alright, so American Alpha, after kicking out of the Ascension's finisher, Made in Ascension look weaker now. Like they need to be any weaker. American
Most
Alpha pick up
dominant
the win.
NXT champions.
Looking strong. And they look like, at least according to SmackDown, they'll be in a program with the Usos. Nikki Bella and Natalya fought in a double countout. Now, this match right here. Oh yeah, I skipped Becky Lynch and Mickie James and Mojo Rawley and Kirk Hawkins because I didn't really watch that. Because I got home a little bit later, so I didn't really get a chance to watch those, and I didn't really have an opinion on them anyway. But I was actually really excited for this match because this is some of the best work I've seen Nikki Bella do wrestling-wise, and Natalya is always good. And for some reason, this feud, which seems like a total divas thing, actually made me excited to see what happens next. So, props to them. Randy Orton versus Luke Harper. That was a really good match, dude.
Oh yeah, some people were actually saying that was a good match.
It was because it was the nice back and forth. Luke Harper looked amazing. Randy Orton looked good heading into his eventual WrestleMania match, and Luke Harper really looked like he has big things for him in the future. I really hope they come to fruition, but I have a theory about that I will talk when we talk about SmackDown.
Oh no! Something just occurred to me. How aggravating would it be if the main event of the next WrestleMania was another Cena Orton match?
Don't speak that blasphemy at me.
Because I know that they've had a lot.
21 televised matches, over 200 untelevised.
Why?
Because Cena Orton.
Cause America.
Cena wins, lol.
Cause America.
Alright, Naomi is the new SmackDown Women's Champion. Nobody saw that coming. Naomi
hold on.
is heading into WrestleMania as champion in her hometown of Orlando. So we will see what happens there. But knowing Vince McMahon and how much he loves them hometown people, she's probably going to lose at WrestleMania. So, hope Naomi doesn't suffer that fate.
Next is
but,
the actual Elimination Chamber.
Next it is the Elimination Chamber match.
Hold on. Who are we all thinking is going to win? On the count of 3. 3, 2, 1.
Bray
Cena.
Wyatt. I thought Bray Wyatt was...
I thought Cena because America.
Alright, so this was a match between Bray Wyatt, John Cena, The Miz, Baron Corbin, AJ Styles, and Dean Ambrose. Now, I really like this match. I think this is one of the best chamber matches they put on because AJ Styles makes everything great.
Just like Sheamus ruins everything, AJ Styles makes everything better.
I was listening to the Going In Raw podcast with Steven Larson, and they were talking about how if they could make a pay-per-view, they're going to do In Your House AJ Styles, where every match, all 7 or 8 matches, is AJ Styles in it. And because he's just that phenomenal. So the first 2 in it were John Cena and AJ Styles, which was a good call by WWE.
Oh, it's best call.
Best call. Then Dean Ambrose come in and shows a bit of the triple threat thing. They do the exact same German suplex spot where Cena German suplexes both of them at the same time. Cena to the win.
The double suplex at the same time.
Yeah, so AJ Styles was grabbing Dean Ambrose, trying to get him with his German suplex, and then Cena grabs AJ
Styles is getting
and throws AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose at the same time.
A guy landed right on top of him. First off, why doesn't he let go? And third, why doesn't Ambrose grab something to let...
Alright, then, after that...
Because that wasn't part of the story.
After that, Bray Wyatt comes in. Bray Wyatt tears stuff up. There's a really gnarly spot. I don't know if this was before or after Baron Corbin comes in, but AJ Styles and Dean Ambrose are fighting on top of the pod. Then Dean Ambrose gets knocked off by Bray Wyatt. Bray Wyatt grabs AJ by his neck and gets ready to throw him off the top of the pod, but Dean Ambrose grabs Bray Wyatt and powerbombs him, but AJ Styles gets thrown halfway across the ring and lands on his shoulder and head. I really looked bad, but AJ Styles knows how to sell and make his opponent look really good.
As evidenced by Cena Championship match number 16.
Baron Corbin comes in and cleans house, okay? He destroys everybody. Everybody's flat out. and when the Miz comes in, he's in last. Baron Corbin's the only one standing there, and he's saying, "Come on, Miz, come on!" And Dean Ambrose rolls up Baron Corbin, and Baron Corbin's out, and Dean Ambrose is then wrecked by Baron Corbin because Baron Corbin don't play your games, and so Baron Corbin lays out Dean Ambrose, and the Miz just hides in his pod and waits for Baron Corbin to leave, and then covers Dean Ambrose and makes him leave, setting up a WrestleMania match, I think, between Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose for the Intercontinental Championship. So
someone really
like
needs
that.
to hurry up and put the Miz away for good.
The Miz is actually doing a really good job.
I know
right
he's
now.
doing a really good job, but the coward thing is, I mean, it's good, but I don't know how much longer he can hold on to that.
So the Miz comes in and he does a little bit of the Daniel Bryan stuff, the whole yes chant, kicking John Cena and Bray Wyatt.
Talk about cheap heat.
Oh, you know what? I really would have loved had Daniel Bryan's music played at the Rumble, and then the Miz comes out. I really would have loved that. That would have been great, but I would have hated the Miz, but I would have loved him at the same time for it.
Yeah, you would have loved Creative's decision. You would have hated the character.
Yeah, definitely. So Miz is eliminated by one AA from Cena.
By the way, before we continue, here's hoping that WWE's doctors clear for Daniel Bryan at some point, because everybody else has.
Yeah. He says as soon as his WWE contract's up, he wants to wrestle at other wrestling promotions.
Who?
And
Daniel Bryan. He wants to go wrestle in Japan when his WWE.
But seeing as how he's doing
But
such
neck and seizures.
Yeah, I know. It's probably a stupid idea.
neck and seizures, according to WWE's doctors. Other doctors are like, no, it's fine.
So
Be careful, but it's fine.
On that note, I watched the WWE 24 special, and Daniel Bryan, the way it sounded like, is regardless, every other doctor said yes. The doctor said, seeing what this was, I cannot, under a good conscience, let you compete again. Under a good conscience. I mean, he might say yes, but under good conscience, he can't, because
Japanese people
I'd assume WWE's being very careful because of the whole Chris Benoit thing,
right.
And how his,
break your neck. Okay, you're fine.
and how his body resembled that of a Alzheimer's patient, 80-year-old Alzheimer's patient.
Right.
So I would assume that would be the reason why WWE's doctors are so
Just
hesitant.
one match, one final match against the Miz. Put him away finally, please. Because I've seen some of the stuff. I've seen some of the promos that the interactions that they've had, and it
has to have some sort of payoff.
It has to.
Even if
either Daniel Bryan brings in someone from somewhere to put the Miz away for him, or one last match.
You know what I think would be cool?
In fact, one last match. Please at WrestleMania.
You know what I think would be cool if Daniel Bryan would not be able to compete? If he talks to The Miz, and The Miz is got him on his last straw, and Daniel Bryan says he's going to try to compete again, but then the WWE says no, and he's like, all right, then I get to pick a proxy, and I get to pick him to fight The Miz, and that proxy ends up being the guy who went to WWE just to work with Daniel Bryan.
Nakamura!
Yes, there we go.
Nakamura!
The only reason he went to WWE, one of the main reasons, was because he wanted to work a match with Bryan. Shortly after he came to WWE,
Oh, man,
Daniel Bryan retired.
Oh, yeah. Oh, poor Shinsuke. Poor Shinsuke.
But
Although I did have a fantasy booking where Shinsuke was actually brought in to be the thing that puts Samoa Joe away.
well, they fought a lot in NXT, and I don't know how much I want to see more of that, because they fought 4 different times.
Well, my idea was basically just that was Samoa Joe just lays waste to the entire Raw roster, including heels that the Authority doesn't want to work with anymore, so he puts them away too because they're loose ends, sort of. And Mick Foley, being general manager, doesn't see this as being good for business. He just sees this as he's having Vietnam flashbacks of when he was wrestling in the 90s, and the Authority were that strong-handed, or they would.
Will we see the flashbacks too? Because that would be some excellent camera work on WWE's part.
Yeah, but
All right, so we're getting off track a bit. Let's get back to the Elimination Chamber. The Miz is
I'll-
out from Cena.
when we get back to Raw, I'll talk about my fantasy booking.
Yeah, so Miz is out from Cena. So it's Cena, AJ Styles, and Bray Wyatt. Cena getting pinned clean after his sister Abigail.
Makes the sister Abigail look amazingly strong.
Sister Abigail's getting booked strong as ever, dude.
Well, it's because
And we'll talk more about that in a second.
Mm-hmm.
Because AJ Styles and Bray Wyatt have an amazing back and forth. Okay, so Miz and John Cena have something set up for WrestleMania, it sounds like. It sounds like it's going to be John Cena and Nikki Bella versus The Miz and Maurice. Why Cena? It looks like it's going to be Baron Corbin and Dean Ambrose. And after this, because Bray Wyatt won the Chamber, it looks like it's going to be Bray Wyatt, Orton, and maybe a third guy I'll talk about on SmackDown. But AJ Styles is the one out of this match that doesn't have a real direction. And the rumor is that he is supposed to be fighting Shane McMahon.
Jumping.
No. That's the only reason, because you have literally the best wrestler on the planet.
Not really.
Yes, it's AJ Styles is 1A and Kenny Omega is 1B. The two best wrestlers on the planet. You have one of them at your disposal, and you'll have him fight a non-wrestler who's a boss's son. Really?
That's WWE booking.
It's WWE booking for you. Please, with WWE, for all your heart, book a cross-promotional match between AJ Styles and Finn Balor. Please, it could be my birthday present. Please. Anyways, AJ Styles sells the Sister Abigail, the best Sister Abigail I have seen. He lands it like he's just been run over by a truck. And Bray Wyatt wins the championship, his first singles championship. And his 3+ years working as Bray Wyatt, which really should have happened sooner.
Yeah, they really should have.
You know what I think of? Whenever someone says Shane McMahon, I always picture him on top of a cell. He's like, I'm gonna jump. And someone from the crowd just yells, do flip. That's all I think of.
I remember we were watching WrestleMania. Me, my buddy David. You guys know David, but these guys don't. David,
you out in YouTube land.
Jared, you did watch part of that WrestleMania. You tried to record it.
Oh,
but
yeah,
you left
right.
early.
Yeah, that's right. Okay,
You left early.
That was
Okay.
WrestleMania. All right.
All right, now I actually have recording equipment. Better.
40 minutes into this podcast, and we already came to this conclusion.
It's
We're
20
doing
minutes
great.
actually.
So,
Thank you.
So David, after Shane dropped from the cell on The Undertaker, the first words he screamed was, "Shane, why?"
Because Shane McMahon is crazy.
He brought his kids to the front row to see him almost commit suicide.
Hey kids, look what your dad does every year. Every year. Started with SummerSlam, and it will never end.
Bray Wyatt wins. Randy Orton comes and stares him down on the ramp, setting up Elimination Chamber. The match itself was probably the best Elimination Chamber match that I've seen.
I think
As aside from maybe the first one was one of the best, but other than that, this one was a really good chamber. I really liked it.
You know what I think? I think the Bray Wyatt winning the chamber is gonna end up leading to Orton and Bray splitting easy.
Oh, definitely.
So that's exactly what they're going for. That's
In
the only
WWE
reason it happened.
And then
In WWE, here's some foreshadowing for your podcast. In WWE, friendships never last forever.
Don't say that.
Edge and Christian genius.
Speaking of which,
Oh, God.
it is
we're
now
getting,
time.
We're getting into it? We're getting to
No,
it?
no, no. We're not getting to that part
Oh, come on.
yet.
I want to hear it.
I'll talk about. We're gonna get to it.
I want to hear it.
All right, so we're moving on to Raw now. The most emotional episode of... Don't play it yet. He has a clip he wants to play, but it's gonna make me cry. So the show opens with Roman Reigns looking strong as ever, and he defeats the tag team.
Whoa.
He defeats the tag team champions in a handicap match. Why?
Can I maybe lose a singles match once?
Okay, handicap match counters. 2 handicap matches we already seen. Both of them make no sense. The heels look weak. Okay.
Roman, lose something. Or rather, WWE creative, make Roman lose something. Vince, we don't want him.
I really like this segment. The New Day...
Can I maybe lose a match?
The New Day have been trying to push their own flavor of ice cream now that Bootios have taken off.
Mm-hmm.
So they're now trying to pull
Speaking of ice cream,
ice cream. Oh, my bad.
Bootios ice cream. No, I'm really right back. Watch. I'm gonna come up with
I
chocolate ice cream.
think they're gonna be called Booty Pops. That's exactly how it's gonna be. It's gonna be Fudge Pops, chocolate ice cream. That's exactly how it's gonna happen. Book it, Vince. So they come out.
Channel meme right there. Book it, Vince.
So Bo Dallas is out, and he is standing in the ring, and the New Day come out, and they make fun of him a bit, and then they say they have the blueprints for the ice cream. And so Kofi Kingston and Bo Dallas go back and forth in their match because they're fighting. And Bo Dallas tides out of the ring and takes the blueprints to the ice cream. And he holds them in his hand, and the crowd's freaking out. And then he rips them in half, and Xavier Woods acts like somebody died in the middle of the ring, and he's just crying like, no!
Wasn't the crowd going like?
The crowd was going nuts too. It was.
I also would like to point this. Allow me to be actual storyteller and more storyteller and less wrestling fan. You don't make ice cream with blueprints. You use like instructions and ingredient lists.
Well, I would assume the blueprint list is for the marketing campaign and for
that's
what the
better.
ice cream would look like, whether it would be the push
But
pops
then there would
or
be a
the scoop.
business plan. If you didn't hear that,
Benny told me to stop talking about booty ice cream and let's just keep going. So, Kofi Kingston won this, and let's talk about both cruiserweight segments in general. Jack Gallagher wrote to his match.
Let's you talk about the
because I am the only one who really watched these shows, but I showed you clips of parts. So
okay, yeah, sure.
So Jack Gallagher en route to his match with Neville at Fastlane is looking strong when he defeated Noam Dar, the guy who says Alicia Fox.
That's what I look like.
And Benny really looks like Noam Dar if Benny aged about like 20 years, so he's like, how old are you now, Ben? 12? So if you were like early 30s, late 20s, you would be Noam Dar. So you would be 32. You would be 32, but I'm talking about maybe late 20s, early 30s. He is not 32. He's only 19. I'm pretty sure. He's probably 20. And Akira Tozawa, I'm skipping down to him.
Bootios ice cream.
Stop it! Oh my gosh!
Bootios ice cream.
So, and then Akira Tozawa fought Arya Daivari. I find it funny because Akira Tozawa, he is a Japanese wrestler, and Brian Kendrick keeps talking about how he is his mentor and that Akira Tozawa is his protege, but Akira Tozawa doesn't know it. So, and so for some reason, so they're talking backstage in 205 Live, and Brian Kendrick was talking about him being his protege and stuff, and Akira Tozawa just looks up and goes, "Nope." And then Brian Kendrick's like, there might be this language barrier, it might not what nope means. And Akira Tozawa says, "I understand. I don't like you," and just walks away. I really loved it.
That is an original kind of like setup for a feud. It's just that is that like that we don't see very often as like a storyline. Usually, like
he's my protege. He just doesn't know it yet.
Yeah, that's an interesting setup for a feud. That'll like usually the cockiness is there, but to be so cocky as to say like, I taught this guy everything he knows, and it to be not true. That's a good setup that we don't see.
That's what Daniel Bryan did when he said he'd been trained by Shawn Michaels, and while that was true, he learned most of his stuff from William Regal, but he was a part of Shawn Michaels' training camp. Emelina to Emma in one of the most underwhelming debuts ever. This likened back to 7 in WCW. So Emelina, after 17 weeks of vignettes, comes out and says, "You've been all so patient. Thank you. You finally witnessed the makeover from Emma to Emelina. And now you will see the makeover of Emelina to Emma," and just walks out. So she's going back to Emma, the way she's back to where we were.
So it's basically like Batman goes bad guy, like full on rampage bad guy. Then it just goes straight back.
This would never happen. I
Like
don't think.
nothing. like nothing happened.
I'm trying to think of like how that. Trying to think of something and I can't think of anything.
The reason that they backed out was because apparently Emma wasn't giving all of her all for the practice for the promos and stuff and for the character. So they wanted to be a throwback to like Sable and Christy Hemme and stuff like that, the ones that were like mostly look and no substance. So
fans weren't happy about
but
that.
they still want to keep the character, so they'll probably use it later on.
Guaranteed WWE booking.
Mark Henry versus Braun Strowman. Mark Henry looked a little bit strong, but at the same time, this put Braun Strowman over. Braun
Well, I mean, you
Strowman
have to
won.
remember. You have to remember for most of his career, hasn't Mark Henry just been sold as a strong guy? We know he's strong.
But he's literally known as the world's strongest man, and you're trying to tell me when
Which
he
isn't
picks
true
up
anymore.
when he picks up Braun Strowman for the world's strongest slam, just because Braun Strowman wiggles a bit, he falls backwards. You cannot tell me that if he literally a couple years prior to this, he took 2 semi trucks, wore a harness, and dragged them across the set of lines.
Or this could be setting up a very interesting.
No, it didn't set up a very interesting feud because Roman Reigns came out right after it,
Gosh damn it!
and Roman Reigns.
Now it's not an interesting feud.
Roman Reigns.
You know
went
what?
to
You know
go-
what?
Well,
we give,
here's where it
we
gets
give
interesting.
we give Sheamus too much garbage. Roman Reigns ruins everything. Sheamus ruins most things. Roman Reigns ruins
Oh, I like the
everything.
stuff he's doing with Cesaro.
You know what? What's wrong with today's WWE economy? Roman Reigns.
But
the only thing that's
Bro,
wrong with
this is where it gets somewhat interesting because Roman was made to look weak.
it.
Say it isn't so.
So Roman hits 2 Superman punches on Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman goes down to 1 knee, and then Roman goes for a spear, and Braun Strowman picks him up like he's nothing and just power slams him and walks off.
What if we
And
tried
Roman
to
Reigns-
back this
What
one?
even is Braun Strowman?
Who really is Byron Saxton?
Fired?
No, he's not. So, next we have a really cool interview with Samoa Joe by Michael Cole, and this makes Samoa Joe seem like a mobster and like a hitman because he took out Seth.
I like how they turned how they turned re-aggravation of injury into an entire angle.
Well,
it's like oops, our new debut just accidentally hurt our big one of the faces of our brand. What do? Let's make it an angle.
book it, Vince. But I find it funny how this man, Samoa Joe, is the cerebral assassin's assassin.
Oh,
No, it's the Hitman.
You have to remember he did deliver a very good promo, by the way, when Samoa Joe attacked I was about to say Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins.
We want that
Triple
to
H
happen.
made an amazing promo.
Brad, we want that to happen. It's probably not.
All Shield members are the same. No, they're not. But yeah, like he had said that he doesn't want to be that guy anymore. That he doesn't want to be, the Triple H we all know and love anymore. So it makes sense that he would hire somebody to do his bidding.
Good point.
But also, and like here's the thing, that might set up for like maybe in the distant future, Samoa Joe face turn at some point. Like, I don't want to be your puppet anymore. Right now, it doesn't feel like Samoa Joe is a puppet. It feels like he actually wants to go out and put people away.
He set up his own angle there because during this interview he said he's not like the guys who are just happy to be here like Sami Zayn. but which seemed really weird that he mentioned Sami Zayn by name, but then it fits because right after this interview, Sami Zayn has a match with Rusev. And it's a fairly quick match. Rusev still wearing the thing that because he broke his nose the other day.
Cody Rhodes.
And so this really cool haluva kick spot.
I saw
Rusev
that one.
is getting into the ring, and as he stands up into the ring, he's kind of getting in the ring close to the corner. And when he picks his head up, he's like, "Oh, Sami Zayn's foot's there. I'm about to go down," and he gets haluva kicked in the face. Which I realized like not too long ago that haluva is the same thing as helluva. It's a hell of a kick.
Yeah, I realized that too.
I realized that
recently.
a while ago, but
Sorry.
But here's always been my problem with Rusev. The whole wrestling Russian thing feels very 90s to me.
dude, it felt like 2008 to me with Vladimir Kozlov, dude. And then Sami Zayn talks about Samoa Joe on the apron, on the ramp after his match after he won, and then Samoa Joe's music hits, and Sami Zayn's looking for Samoa Joe to come out, and then from the side of the stage he just goes BAM! And he goes and fights him.
And then Samoa Joe proceeds to put away Sami Zayn temporarily. So here's where I want to get into my fantasy booking just because it fits. Because Samoa Joe being, dominant force here. So, like I said, Mick Foley gets flashbacks to the whole 90s authority is everything, turned his friend The Rock against him once upon a time. So he's getting flashbacks to that, and it's like, this isn't what's best for business, like Stephanie McMahon has been touting this entire time. This is what, just to show that she's in charge.
Making sure my computer's plugged in.
Alright. So, here's what my thinking was. Samoa Joe's going to go through the entire Raw roster and just put everyone away. And basically doing what Roman Reigns does as a face, being a dominant force that cannot be beaten. Samoa Joe does that, except he's a heel, so the booing fits. So he does this, and Mick Foley, there's like a bunch of there would be like a bunch of little skits and stuff in ring on the Titantron and everything of Mick Foley going throughout the Raw roster and asking anybody who wants to fight him again and try to put this guy in his place, and nobody wants to do it. So he's eventually super desperate. So my idea was that there'd be like a nice little sort of set of vignettes where Mick Foley kind of sneaks into Triple H's office, and he's got like a clipboard of notes on with like.
You could say he has a list.
We'll get to that. Suddenly, I feel like I'm running your show. But the clipboard of notes has the NXT logo on the back of it.
Oh.
And so Mick Foley, being out of people to bring in, instead of calling a part-timer in to straighten things out.
Goldberg.
No. I mean, yeah,
Goldberg.
they both put people away, but
Not the point.
Not the point. So instead of going for a part-timer, Mick Foley is like, all right, I'll beat him at his own game.
So he brings in NXT guy Nakamura.
Yep.
Okay.
So here's how that would happen though. There'd be an in-ring skit. It's Mick Foley, Stephanie McMahon, and Samoa Joe. Stephanie's just praising Samoa Joe about the job he's been doing and how much better business is booming because of his presence there and everything, and talking. And in the meantime, Mick Foley just starts smiling wider and wider and wider and wider.
That's to be scary. Then you see this missing teeth.
And then he starts chuckling as Stephanie keeps talking about how unbeatable Samoa Joe is. And then Samoa Joe starts asking Mick Foley, it's like, why are you laughing? What do you find so funny? And it's like,
lights out.
Not lights out. He's just laughing, and then he brings the microphone up to his face and he says, I get the joke that you were telling when you had said you're going to put everyone away. That's a funny joke. And he's like, I have been doing that. I've been putting people away. What's funny about that? It's like, well, I was asking around about rematches. Nobody wanted one. And then I found someone.
Somebody wanted a rematch. Somebody that made you scared, Joe.
Da, 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 da.
And then lights go out and the crowd lose their mind. I really like that.
Yeah.
I do, but I
Crowd
don't think it'll happen.
Crowd loses their crap. Shinsuke's out there. He does his little in-ring thing, and Samoa Joe is standing there, the microphone slowly starting to shake in his hand. Stephanie's mouth agape, and Mick Foley is on his back, losing his crap.
You know what? Instead of that, I would have loved if just Shinsuke goes in the ring and does his pageantry and stuff, and Samoa Joe is speechless, I want to say, and then just Kinshasa right to the face. I would love So, moving on to probably this is probably going to be segment of the year. Hang on, wait. We'll get to that. Before this
Keep
segment.
saying that, let him play.
Before this segment, Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho are talking backstage about the Festival of Friendship. They're talking backstage.
3 words that will forever break the hearts of wrestling fans.
Oh my gosh. Quit mentioning it.
What are those
So,
words, Brad?
Festival
Chris
of
Jericho's
Friendship.
talking about all the plans that he has and stuff. And Triple H comes in because he came in with Samoa Joe and he said, "Hey, can I talk to you to Kevin alone?"
Because Triple H doesn't want us to have anything nice.
And then so it cuts to commercial, and then when it comes back, it's Triple H talking to Kevin Owens. There's no audio whatsoever, but Kevin has this concerned look on his face, like he's being told some like bad news or something. And Triple H is talking with looks like he's talking with a very serious tone. So, shortly after this, it is the Festival of Friendship. Chris Jericho comes out with a sparkly fedora and hat. Fedora that makes me proud. And a bunch of showgirls and stuff. And then he invites Kevin Owens out, and he's still in his regular, like, t-shirt and pants and stuff. And he comes out.
Sleeveless shirt.
Sleeveless shirt. So they
Respect
come
the
to the
man.
ring. And Chris Jericho shows his presents for Kevin Owens, which start with a Guggenheim sculpture of, like, 2 people intertwined, which looked like DNA and stuff. It was like, and Kevin Owens was about to make fun of him for it, but he told him because he spent $7,000 for it, and then Kevin Owens is like, "It's a steal, it's a steal." But this entire time he has a rough look on his face. Then he shows him the creation of Kevin, which is the Sistine Chapel painting.
The creation of Adam.
Creation of Adam. And Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho are such figures. And then Chris Jericho says, "You can hang it up right in your living room." Kevin Owens is like, "I can't do that. I have kids. You're not wearing pants." And Jericho's like, "This is art. You don't need pants." So that's it. Oh, these one-liners. This is so good for a moment. So
you know what? If should it come to be that at some point Chris Jericho can't wrestle anymore, he needs to be a stand-up comedian. It needs to happen. He's funny.
So Chris Jericho says, "Okay, this is getting to the real reason why I'm here. I'm gonna call out Goldberg right now. Come on out, Goldberg." I really wish he could call him Greenberg like he did in WCW. Greenberg, because green means you can't really wrestle and you're like a newbie. So I really wish you could have called him Greenberg, but I digress. And so Gilbert makes this WWE return to wrestling after how many years? Not until since the 1990s, 2000. So it's been almost 20 years since his last time. So he comes out, and while he's making his way down the ramp, Kevin Owens just gets out and beats the living crap out of him. He goes to the ring. He's like, "Chris, I thought we were trying to get Goldberg," and he's furious at this point. Chris he speaks a bit from the heart, and he says that this is my best time that I've had with anybody, and I haven't had as much chemistry with anybody else as I've had with you. And Kevin Owens, and he says, "I love you, man." And then Kevin Owens says, it seems reluctant at first, but he says, "I love you too," and he gives him a hug. And he was like, "After seeing all this, I feel bad, but I have a small present for you too." So he gets the box, and this box has it's like a white box, and he hands it to Chris, and he's like, "Awesome, a new list. The old one's getting beat up," but he's taking a look at the list, but we could see the list of KO, but he can't see. But he's looking at it, and he says the 6 most sad words.
How come my name's on this?
He said, "How come my name's on this?" And that's when everybody knew, including Chris Jericho, that exactly what was about to go down.
Jericho is no more.
Jericho.
There's always hope.
So Kevin Owens attacks Chris Jericho, just destroys him, throws him into the side of the ring and stuff.
Props to Chris Jericho for his acting talent. He looked emotionally pained too.
And so did Kevin Owens. He looked like he was doing a job that had to be done, which is why I'm wondering how Triple H ties into all this. So Kevin Owens powerbombs Jericho on the apron and then sends him through the TV that's in the ring. I want to point something out. If you look at WWE.com and you read an article, it's the curse of the shattered glass. I was talking to you about this, Brad. I forgot what year it was, but when Shawn Michaels turned on Marty Jannetty, he sent him through a barbershop window, sending him into glass. Shawn Michaels got a bit of karma when Shawn Michaels' face was sent into the Jeritron by Chris Jericho, shattering glass. And now Chris Jericho was sent into a TV by Kevin Owens, shattering glass. So now, if we ever see Kevin Owens get shattered through glass, the next person has something coming for them. So just be the article ends with, "Be wary if Sami Zayn's ever buy a suspiciously large TV." So that was a really good segment. I really liked it. It was one of the best produced and the most emotionally scarring scripted segment I've ever seen personally. It hurts, and Brad is actually like flustered right now because
with all of the faults of storytelling that comes with professional wrestling, all of the loopholes, all of the plot holes, all of the missed opportunities, the what ifs, the plot lines that don't make sense, what have you. There are always shining gems and things. So if you're watching like the world's worst movie ever made, you can still find something good to say about it. So yeah, sure, most of Birdemic sucked, but there might have been one or two decent things or decent ideas in there that could be salvageable. If some reason WWE were to reboot entirely, this would still be kept, because this was perfect, and I want to see Jericho reform in the future because they're just so darn good together.
I don't think Jericho has that kind of time left, but honestly say this is segment of the year. Not only so far, but there's gonna be no contenders for it. I'm making a call right now. There's no
storyline of the year.
Not storyline of the year by any means, but I love the phrase that was used on. I was watching an episode of Wrestle Talk, and the phrase that somebody on Twitter said to him was, "A heel just turned heel." So I was impressed by that, but it was a really good segment, and I appreciate it. But now I don't believe in friendship anymore. So we're moving on to the next thing. Cesaro defeated Enzo.
Oh no!
Amore.
I know the chance now. I know the chance that they're going to shout, that the audience is going to shout at every other Kevin Owens appearance from now on. You screwed Chris.
You screwed Chris. I'm gonna start chanting that now. I am. Cesaro defeated Enzo Amore in a fairly quick match because Enzo Amore interfered in their match. Enzo Amore and Big Cass interfered in their match for the tag titles last week because Gallows kicked Enzo Amore, so Big Cass kicked Gallows. It was all just one big cluster. So I think we're headed for a triple threat tag team match at Mania, or at least at Fastlane. So there's that. And then the main event, Bayley defeated Charlotte to be the women's champion. So after a really good back and forth, and a wild Dana Brooke appears and helps Bayley get caught in the figure 8. Then Sasha Banks comes out and nails Dana Brooke with a crutch, and then hits Charlotte with a boob shot.
Yeah,
like hits
saying it's a throat shot. It's a throat shot.
Hits her in the chest with a crutch, and then Bayley wins the championship. Now, I feel like they ruined the story here. Bayley deserves to be champion without a doubt. But they ruined the story here. I feel like she shouldn't have been champion until WrestleMania. And they hot-shotted that story real quick. And now it's just become more predictable.
Mm-hmm.
So, when Charlotte actually retains on Raw, I would love to see it, but I don't think that's ever going to happen. Charlotte's going to win it back at Fastlane. And then there's going to be a Fatal 4-Way match with a heel Sasha Banks, Nia Jax, and Where was Nia Jax this week?
Mm-hmm.
Hang on, wait.
She was
So, Bayley, Charlotte. No, she wasn't. Bayley, Charlotte, Nia Jax, and Sasha Banks. And Bayley's going to be the only face, and she's going to win. So, they really hotshot this story, and I really think it could have been used a lot better.
Ready to really hit that button.
And like I said, for every remember that the Festival of Friendship, again, the 3 words that will break every wrestling fan's heart from now until the end of time.
Yeah, the first thing that Chris Jericho posted on social media was a picture of him coming out with the Showgirls that said pre-betrayal #hashtag red wedding, which I'm pretty sure is a Game of Thrones reference.
But going back to the Bayley thing, for every well executed moment, there is a lot of stuff you need to sift through, and as a storyteller myself, I definitely would have done that a lot later.
Yeah. So after what was I about to say? So after. Oh, so if you remember anything about WrestleMania 30 and how when the Undertaker's streak ended, it was really hard to get emotionally invested, and good job for Daniel Bryan for getting emotionally invested in getting the fans emotionally invested after something that drained so much. Nice job, Ben. You knocked something over.
Yeah, I caught it.
Sorry, audio people. But
Scared the crap out.
a moment that disheartened fans, like the streak ending, or Bruno Sammartino losing the championship, or Kevin Owens turning on Chris Jericho.
Stop bringing it up.
Emotional moments like that are really hard to bounce back, so I really think that seeing Bayley win the championship, despite all of the 8 securities, it was still a cool moment. It was.
Yeah, it did.
So
I mean, I understand why they did it, but they could have. Here's the thing. Even if something really, really upsetting happens, you can still keep people coming back. That's how, Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, that's how they all get away with killing off your favorite characters.
That's how I've been watching for 13 years.
Mm-hmm. is that the way that they do it still keeps you invested and interested in the characters that survived the debacle. So
sure.
Here's the thing. If they had just ended the show with furthering the whole Bayley's struggle to getting a belt, if they didn't end on a positive note, people would still come back. And I'm not talking about people who are just diehard WWE fans. No, people are willing, you ended on Jericho splitting, and then Bayley continuing her struggle. Those are 2 things that people want to see the resolution of.
Right.
So if not every show has to end with a big, massive pop, Vince. Vince. You should know that after Royal Rumble 2015, not everything has to end with a massive pop. It can end with heat.
No, that's right. Because think about what I was watching a What Culture video, and they were talking about the Nexus and how it threw money down the drain when the Nexus lost at SummerSlam, because WWE has a certain set of casual fans who will watch SummerSlam, Survivor Series, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania. And when SummerSlam ended and they saw the Nexus lose, they were like, okay, the villains lost, so that's that story over then, and I don't have to watch again until Survivor Series in November. If the villains won, they might have been like, they won. I wonder how that's going to play out, and so more people would have been watching from that point. So I can really definitely see your point in negativity draws.
In fact, you know what? Here's the thing. Once creative stops being insane for a couple moments, there might be a year or a couple of years where the big pay-per-views may not be the culmination, where we may actually have to wait until the last pay-per-view of the year for the good guys to win.
Well,
that would be a really good way to bring people in, is like, all of a sudden, the people you don't want to win are winning. They're having a hard time winning, so the good guys can do it. They just aren't.
They aren't, right.
And that way, when all the good guys finally win at WrestleMania, and if it's like a clean sweep at WrestleMania, then suddenly all of your numbers will skyrocket.
Alright, so we're going to move on to SmackDown now. And now the match, there was a match announced before SmackDown that Bray Wyatt would defend his championship against a worthy contender. And there was only one worthy contender. Wait, there was one.
And his name is John Cena.
Okay, there we go. Delayed reaction, but still. Alright, so, John Cena was announced before SmackDown to be in a one-on-one rematch for Bray Wyatt. This rose the ire of AJ Styles because he demanded a one-on-one rematch, which he hasn't been given. This is somewhat setting up for his feud with Shane. So he has not been given his one-on-one rematch yet, so he was made into a triple threat match between Bray Wyatt, John Cena, and AJ Styles. Still not one-on-one rematch. Are you following me?
Now, here's the thing I just realized. Poor Daniel Bryan, because he's the only wrestler who's currently in charge of SmackDown, and he's the only one whose feud we might not see resolved ever.
No.
Shane, like, that has to really just aggravate him to see Shane, a non-wrestler, getting a feud and having it resolve. And he's getting a feud, sure, but we may not see him fight The Miz at any point ever.
Like, I love watching the boss's son try to play wrestler for his dad. Yeah, kind of. It's plugged in now. So that set up the main event for tonight. And, okay, one of the problems was because Bray Wyatt came out by himself and celebrated his championship, and John Cena came out and told him he didn't deserve it. Excuse me, John. He pinned you. Clean. And then pinned AJ Styles. Clean. You didn't even make it to the final two. And you were a transitional champion. You want to talk about not deserving it? Your 16th title win was a waste. I said it.
We're all thinking it. Michael finally said it.
It had to be said.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. I don't care who you're subscribed to. He needs the views and the subscribers. He said it first. I don't care if this video comes out late. He could wait until next month to upload this video.
Oh, don't say that. Don't say that.
He still said it here first.
So American Alpha fought The Ascension in a fairly quick match. American Alpha won. And then they set up a rivalry with the Usos. I didn't really watch this segment. I was busy doing something. I completely forgot.
Keep going.
So, Dean Ambrose set up a match with James Ellsworth in the beginning of the night. Because they have unfinished business. And as James Ellsworth was waiting in the ring for his opponent, Dean Ambrose music hits. And in kind of like a scene that's kind of like a horror movie, Baron Corbin is dragging Dean Ambrose out by his shirt, which is ripped. and he is just dragging him out like he's walking his dog, and just bringing him out to the ring and throws him on the stage. And I'm like, that is a cool visual. I love that. And then they get into a brawl.
Scary.
They get into a brawl where he throws him off the side of the stage through a table, and then sparks fly because apparently he did some electrical stuff. So, Baron Corbin versus Dean is definitely happening at Mania, and Baron Corbin's probably winning the Intercontinental title. Pretty much guaranteed there.
That's almost like so like we've got Dean Ambrose, who's like the comical kind of crazy. What Baron Corbin did there, that's like the pathological killer crazy.
Well, he wasn't necessarily crazy. He's still mad about Elimination Chamber. And I'm
but that's serial killer mad.
You gave your...
Dragging a guy out to the ring half dead? That's a serial killer thing to do. That's what Randy Orton's voices should be telling him to do.
Well, they did that when he was a legend killer, and he concussed Shawn Michaels, he concussed RVD, he punted them both in the head like a football. So after that, Mickie James and Becky Lynch fought in a rematch from Elimination Chamber, where Mickie James won this time, so it's an even 50-50, but Mickie James pretending to land wrong on her arm and getting the ref pushing Becky back and then kicking her in the face to win the match because she feigned an injury. Nice.
Oh no! Wasn't that how Jericho Shawn Michaels started? It's a good thing that referee wasn't a guest referee, or else we'd be seeing a repeat here.
So
just gender swaps, maybe.
Unless there was an intergender match between the referee and Mickie James happening in the works. So,
but seeing as that referee wasn't a wrestler, probably not.
Well, some referees were like low end wrestlers, but they just got hired as a referee because that's what their body type is set for, I guess. So Naomi apparently injured herself during Elimination Chamber. We don't know what the extent is of it, but she hurt her knee. And so she came out and talked about it for a bit, and talked about how she was going to go to WrestleMania as champion. And Alexa Bliss comes out, runs her down, and says, either next week, you either give me my rematch or just hand the title over to me. And I'm pretty sure that's not how that works. But we'll see what happens next week.
How many times did Shawn Michaels just hand it over?
I mean, you're not wrong. Okay, so...
The answer, ladies and gentlemen, is every time. He hasn't lost belt clean. He hasn't lost a belt in a match. He just hands it to them.
Well, he has before, but it's a bit of an extent. Alright, so I'm going to say this now, so that way if you people in the back can hear it. John Cena was pinned clean twice in 48 hours by the same person. Praise the Lord.
I like that I like the kind of push Bray Wyatt is getting right now because
he deserves it.
Yeah, he deserves it, and also like you have to think of it this way. What I'm thinking of is that The Undertaker was the original spooky guy.
Spoopy dude, too spoopy for you.
But he's getting older. Rumors about his retirement are circulating. Seems more likely now than ever that it's going to happen. So the WWE needs somebody to replace the whole spooky guy gimmick, and Bray Wyatt is the new spooky guy. But here's the thing:
he already lost the Undertaker twice.
True, but first of all,
I
think it'd be a good passing of the torch because Undertaker's an old school guy. He's not going to win his last match. It's almost guaranteed.
Well, he's probably going to pass it to Roman Reigns because that looks like the trajectory they're going now because of the Rumble.
But I feel like it would just be so much cooler if it was like a passing of the torch where he would fight Bray Wyatt and Bray Wyatt would win. He's the new spooky guy. Undertaker retires, the old spooky guy. Now, here's the thing. The only reason, besides all of the gimmicks and the gimmick and the makeup and the pyrotechnics and the intro music that he had, Undertaker was kind of spooky because you knew he was threatening. Up until now, Bray Wyatt didn't have that with him. He lost a lot.
That's a good point.
So now that he's getting this push and he's starting to win more, I have a feeling that subconsciously, the spooky stuff that Bray Wyatt does from now on is actually going to start being a little spine chilling because, oh wait a minute, he's actually threatening now.
That and he has the power to teleport because yes, but in that case, I would really like to see that go to Finn Balor, too. That possibly
that's true.
with his
That's
demon
true.
character.
Yeah.
And plus, he's been pushed more than Bray Wyatt has in the. He had 3 matches on the main roster and won every single one of them.
Mm-hmm.
One of them with a dislocated shoulder, and he that popped out of place, and he popped it back in and finished the match. That was awesome.
So with that new information, because I haven't been keeping up that much on Finn Balor.
Yeah, he's out with an injury because Seth Rollins did that buckle bomb thing he does, which I'm pretty sure he stopped doing now because he ended Sting's career and he just injured Finn Balor with it.
Mm-hmm.
So stop it, Seth.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It's a good thing Samoa Joe put an end to that.
Seth has been cursed since he hit John Cena in the face. If you think about it, he hit during a match with Cena. These two were having back and forth in 2015. Seth Rollins kneed him in the face, and Cena leaned forward, and his nose was like the top of his nose was like touching his cheek. I might be able to find a picture.
Please don't.
I'm going to find it now.
Anyway, but with that information, maybe not a passing of the torch, but either the Wyatt family is going to disappear completely and it's just going to be Bray, and he might team up with Finn Balor, or they will feud for ranking of hi.
Yeah, I just showed him a picture of John Cena with his nose
ruined by Seth Rollins.
like his entire situation is just like ruined,
Um,
and the side of his nose, the bridge of his nose, is like on his like right cheek.
But yeah, so either it's a Bray Wyatt Finn Balor tag team, or more likely, they fight for position of, all right, Undertaker's gone. Who's gonna be the new
Who's the
spooky?
new spoopy dude?
Yeah, and I don't know who I want to win that.
Balor has to, but Bray was been around longer.
That's
for the What If series. Let's do that next.
there you are.
All right,
Yeah.
awesome.
Put some of the other ones on the shelf until you do Finn Balor versus Bray Wyatt, and then like it's like at the end of it you need to shout, "Book it, Vince."
Book it, Vince. I'm gonna start saying that at the end of every one of my videos now, and I'm gonna wink at the camera. That's exactly what I'm gonna do. So
At the end of your What If series.
What If series, exactly. So
any other series wouldn't make too much sense.
Bray Wyatt won, pinning Cena clean.
Woo!
Second time in 48 hours. Just saying. Then Randy Orton comes out, and he says he refuses to fight Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania. So,
Which you know will only be true for so long.
so on Talking Smack, Daniel Bryan set up a battle royal, which AJ Styles is confirmed to be a part of, for the number 1 contender for Bray Wyatt's championship, because Randy Orton refuses to fight. Here's what I'm thinking is going to happen, because apparently WWE have been toying with the idea of this. Luke Harper wins the battle royal in a triple threat match. Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Randy Orton for the WWE Championship at Mania, and I want to see that.
The Wyatt family implodes.
Pretty much, yeah. So Luke Harper would win. Bray Wyatt says, "You need to help me." Luke Harper's a maniac, so Randy Orton would re-enter the match. Triple threat, bada boom. And finally, after talking about that for so long, we're probably way over an hour by now.
Oh, definitely. We're definitely over an hour right now.
We started at about 11:50, and so it's been an hour. And
But hey, you're listening to a podcast. You expect this. You
Oh,
should
yeah,
expect
definitely.
this. If you don't expect this, you're listening to the wrong podcasts.
All right. Last thing we're going to talk about quickly is NXT. NXT was a really good show this week. So just running through the matches. Authors of Pain.
I forgot before we continue. I forgot to ask. The injury we saw for Nakamura in that one match, was that actual or was that kayfabe?
No, it was kayfabe.
Okay.
It was really good selling on Nakamura's part.
Okay, then Nakamura is an amazing actor.
There was a picture of him in the Performance Center. It said, "Knee is fine. It doesn't need surgery or anything," and they're gonna give an update next week on NXT.
Woo!
So, Authors of Pain, two scary dudes who I can't wait to see, but I also don't want to see when we go to NXT. I'm going to be taking pictures and taking small videos and putting them up on this channel, kind of documenting my time there, because it's my first NXT show and I want it to be remembered and immortalized forever. But the Authors of Pain defeated two local jobbers, and I wanted to say something. The guy, one of the guys, either Garrison Spears or Lance NOI, apparently he had like trunks that were the same color as the skin tone, and then on the back it had a Snickers type logo, but it said stud on it. So I thought that was really funny, but really cool at the same time. I really liked that. It looked like
available now at WWE.com.
Stud Snickers.
Probably not.
So it looked like it was just a naked man with a Snickers sticker stuck on the back of his butt. If you were squinting really hard. Billy Kay and Peyton Royce fought Liv Morgan and a partner of her choosing, which ended up being Ember Moon. Billy Kay and Peyton Royce going over surprisingly because Liv Morgan was pinned and Ember Moon was knocked out. But for some reason, a triple threat match next week for number one contender for Asuka's title was the two people who lost, Liv Morgan and Ember Moon, and Peyton Royce. Billy Kay got the pin. Why is she not in this match? And why are the two losers in the match, and the one of the winners, not even the one who gets the pin, is a triple threat? How's that fair to Billy Kay? That none of the wrestling podcasts I've listened to has talked about that plot hole. None of it.
It's because we've come to expect it. Like the time that the authority figures were all beaten and they still kept control of the company because authority figures.
Yes. DIY come out and they say they want their rematch for the NXT tag titles, and in 2 weeks they're going to be fighting the Authors of Pain for the tag team titles. Then the Revival come out and attack DIY, and the Authors of Pain come down to go beat up the Revival because they still are mad at them for jumping them last week. And the Revival run out and hide. So I think there's going to be a triple threat tag team match at TakeOver Orlando, which is the night or 2 nights before WrestleMania, I think. And the UK Championship was defended for the first time ever. 2 tag team partners, Tyler Bate and Trent Seven, both part of the team of Mustache Mountain, which is a great name for a tag team. It's a great name.
Some of the names.
But Tyler Bate goes over. Really good match. After hitting Tyler Driver 97. And get it? 97. He's 19 years old. That was the year he was born. Do you get it?
Yeah, I get it.
Get it? 1997, because he's 19 and his year with you was 97.
Yes.
Okay.
I get it.
So that goes over. Next week it's going to be a match between Pete Dunne and Mark Andrews, who've had one of the best matches, a 5-star match in Pro Wrestling Guerrilla, I think, or one of the other independent promotions had a wrestling match between Mark Andrews and Pete Dunne, which was rated 5 stars, I think, by Dave Meltzer. Don't quote me on that because I don't know, but I just know they did a really good match in the UK tournament. And they also had a really good match at one other promotion that I don't know if it got 5 stars, but I think it did. Alright, so last thoughts to end up on the podcast. The Chris Jericho segment was and the Festival of Friendship segment was amazing. It was like likened back to This Is Your Life.
Amazing. It was amazing and heartbreaking and amazing and heartbreaking.
Yeah, really interesting stuff with the Wyatt family. I can't wait to see what happens and how WrestleMania plays out. Literally, I'm looking at all the matches potentially happening on the card, and there's at least 10 matches now, and they're mostly singles matches.
Which is good.
Let's see if I can think of the ones right now. Undertaker Reigns, Triple H Seth.
That needs to happen. It needs to happen, and it has to happen at this WrestleMania because Triple H isn't getting any younger.
Dean Ambrose, Baron Corbin, Miz and Maurice versus Cena and Nikki.
Cena, I know most people give you a lot of garbage, but please put Miz away in honor of Daniel Bryan's inability to do so himself.
Shane and AJ.
Because that needs to happen for whatever reason.
Wyatt family triple threat. The SmackDown Women's title and the Raw Women's title matches. The Raw Tag Team Championships and the SmackDown Tag Team Championships. That's 10. Not counting Goldberg Lesnar. Not counting Big Show Shaq. Not counting anything
Big Show Shaq I'm looking forward to, if only because the before match promos, Shaq has to be master of that.
Not counting anything Braun Strowman does, which is probably going to be the Andre Battle Royal. Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho, probably either for the Universal title or not.
Oh,
and so
no.
that's 14 matches that I counted off my hand and we're not. And 15, the Cruiserweight title match. Between potentially, or at least if rumors were to be believed, Adrian Neville and Austin Aries. Yes, please.
So we're looking at a
Survivor. WrestleMania is going to be at least 8 hours long. 4 hours. 4 hours long.
Oh man.
I'm expecting a 2-hour pre-show starting at 5 with 4 matches on it, and then 11 matches on the main card for 4 hours.
Sheesh.
We're gonna die.
Here's what I think. Here's what I think is gonna happen with Goldberg Lesnar, or what I want to have happen, and everybody wants to have it happen too. Is that, of course, he lost twice. Lesnar's got to beat Goldberg now.
But even then, it's still uneven, because
it's still uneven. But
technically, Goldberg's won 3 times because he beat him at WrestleMania 20, beat him at Survivor Series, and he threw him over the top rope in Royal Rumble in 22 seconds after getting into the ring. So even if Lesnar won 1, it's still uneven.
Right, but here's the thing.
I don't want to see 4 more matches between Lesnar and Goldberg. Sorry to keep interrupting you.
That's fine. I don't think anybody else wants to either. Now, here's the thing. The problem. One of the problems with Goldberg that I've been hearing was that in matches longer than 5 minutes, you kind of start to see through his gimmick a little bit, and you start to see through his ability to wrestle a little bit.
Who's this for, Goldberg or Lesnar?
Goldberg. So, I think, personally, I would use that to my advantage if I were one of the people on WWE's creative team. I would use this to my advantage. I would make the last match between Goldberg and Lesnar longer, because it would show Lesnar would be like at the top of his game. He'd have like a whole bunch of a whole bunch of promos and a whole bunch of clips leading up to this whole thing, showing Brock Lesnar training harder than he's ever trained before, trying to get to a point where he can at least last a little bit longer against Goldberg. Like even like have him go behind Paul Heyman's back and say, "Look, I just want to last a little longer. I'm taking this one step at a time. I just don't want to be destroyed as soon as I get in the ring." So what happens is the match starts to drag on. Goldberg starts to look less and less like less and less of an actually decent athlete, and Brock Lesnar looks more and more so, almost sort of like turning into this crossfade of like Goldberg going complete dominator on Lesnar to Lesnar's like fighting back and just surviving past the 5-minute mark. And once he reaches the 5-minute mark, then it turns around, and Lesnar's finally able to,
It should be a street fight, and they both wear jeans. And then at the end, Goldberg's son comes in, and then he's like, for some reason, shirtless, and he's raising his hand because he thinks he won.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Brock Lesnar. Goldberg's son wins.
Oh.
Also, I wanted to make a note. I don't know when this was posted. It was posted technically. It was posted on the 18th. Ivan Koloff, the guy I talked about, how Bruno Sammartino lost the championship after holding it for so long. Ivan Koloff was the guy who beat him, and he passed away yesterday.
Oh, that's nice.
So
it always sucks when you get people who do that, and then like you who pass away at certain ages and stuff, and like or just pass away, and you look back at their career, and like the last thing they did was not a great gimmick.
yeah.
Like, again, like I said, the wrestling Russian, if I could talk. Like, that's...
It's
again,
1 o'clock in the morning, guys. We're both tired.
Yeah. It's very, very 90s to me. And, in fact, maybe even before 90s. That's very, like 60s-ish, almost. To have the whole... or maybe, well, not 50s, but like but just to have like a character whose sole trait is I'm a Russian and I represent communism, and it kind of just makes me sad when like that was a wrestler's like last gimmick before he retires and then dies.
Yeah.
Like, I would much rather have it be where like if a wrestler knows that their time's about up, that they either reform their current character or at some point try to maybe come up with a character that's not meant to last long, but is just meant to be something but dumb gimmick.
Right.
That's why I feel like, I mean, that's why I feel bad if James Ellsworth is to continue. Well, no, he's a good comic relief character. I mean,
Yeah, he's good comic
Yeah.
relief. He's like Santino almost.
Yeah, if he was like a worse comic relief character and he died doing that gimmick, or died after that being the only gimmick he did, for like televised performances, that would kind of be bad. But he's a good comic relief character.
Also, the day before this, on the 17th, George the Animal Steel passed away. The guy who would bite the turnbuckle and all the foam would come out. That guy passed away.
No, see, that's a cool trick. That's fine. You got to do something that looks awesome.
But Ivan, the thing is with Ivan Koloff, he'll probably always be remembered as the guy who stunned the world, likened to Brock Lesnar, who defeated a guy who seemed unbeatable, and completely wowed the crowd. So, really sad to see those guys go. I can't say that I watch a lot of their work. I can't because I haven't gone that back far into archives yet. I'm trying, guys, but I want to know more about these guys, so I feel a personal connection. But there's no doubt what they've done in wrestling history as well. All right, so this will wrap up this edition of the wrestle-magic podcast, an extended edition. Brad, I want to thank you for joining me, and I'm thinking I want to ask you a question after we go off the air, but I want to see about the future of this podcast. It's a question about that. So thank you guys so much for joining. If you like the video, hit the thumbs up button, subscribe, and hit the bell so you are notified first of anything of the wrestle-magic podcast. And be sure to go into the comments. Now, I've said this on the Wrestling Amino app, and I've said this on Twitter, and I'm trying to extend it to as many places as I can. For the What If series, I have so many ideas that I want to do. Right now, I'm thinking for doing a What If Undertaker and Sting fought. I know they fought. I will get to that. The Rock and Shawn Michaels, or Stone Cold and Hulk Hogan. And I want...
Battle of the facial hair.
And so I am always looking for ideas. Any ideas that I get, I will try 100% to make them look to make them into a video unless they're like impossible. Then I'll make a mention of them on here. One of them that's gonna be rough. Somebody pointed out to me was Chris Benoit and Daniel Bryan, and that would be rough to figure out when, but it requires some changing of history. But I will talk about that when I eventually do this video. But any guys, think of a match that almost happened or a match that should have happened but never did, and post it down in the comments below. And every one that I get, I will try to do my hardest. If there's no time, I apologize. I will get to it as soon as I can.
Some troll is going to say Kane versus fake Kane, where fake Kane wins.
And I'm going to book it better. Vince, book it, Vince. Alright, thank you guys so much for joining us. For Brad and myself and Ben, who left because he's tired. Thank you guys so much for joining me and for joining us, and we will see you guys in the next video. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
See ya.